What's up, barbers and stylists? We're back with another step-by-step tutorial. In this video, I'm going to teach you guys how to do a Mohawk skin fade with the hard part. The Mohawk is more of a challenging haircut and does require you to have more experience, but just follow me along as I break it down step by step. Here we are in my studio, so let's get to it. I'm going to start off by using my wall detailer trimmer to create my skin line, which will be considered my first guideline. I'm going to create this line on an angle where it will start off straight on the side and then have a deep drop coming down as I approach the back. I am setting the foundation of this haircut by creating the shape of the Mohawk. Following my skin line, I will then be using my wall senior with the blade all the way open to create my second guideline, which will be considered my zero line. I'm creating this guideline the same exact way I did my skin line, as I create a deep drop coming down as I approach the back. Again, we are creating the shape of the Mohawk and setting the foundation for this entire haircut. I will then be creating a third guideline using my number 2 guard as I take it up to the parietal ridge of the head and then drop this guideline down as well as I approach the back. I am now going to move on to the left side of the head and create my guidelines the same exact way as I did on the right. I'm going to start with creating my skin line, and then follow that with creating my zero guideline with my clipper blade open. And then finish off by creating my third guideline with my number 2 guard, taking it up to the parietal ridge and then dropping it down as I approach the back. When doing a Mohawk fade, it is important that you match the guidelines on both sides of the head, as you want to make sure that they are the same height and that one side of the fade is even with the other. This is one of the most challenging and hardest parts with doing this kind of haircut. Now that all my guidelines are created and I have set the foundation by creating the shape of the Mohawk, I am now ready to begin removing my guidelines. I'm going to begin on the right side of the head to begin taking out my third guideline, starting with my number 4 guard, and then I'm going to blend my number 3 into the 4 and then blend my number 2 into the 3. The way I remove my guidelines is by using a top, middle, bottom method with my side lever. I begin with the blade all the way closed and then I slowly open it up, which allows me to erase the line neatly and cleanly. I always work my way down from guard to guard until I get back down to the length that originally created the guideline. Now that I've taken out my third guideline and worked my way back down to the number 2, I am now ready to begin removing my zero guideline. I'm going to start with my 1.5 guard closed, and I'm going to slowly open up the blade as I blend into the number 2. Now, since this transition will appear most noticeable as the hair is getting lighter, I'm going to really take my time removing this guideline, as I want the blend to appear as clean as possible. I'm going to do this by utilizing the corners of the clipper blade, as the corners will allow you to reach into the darker and tighter areas. I am now going to switch over to my Andis Masters using my number 1 magnetic guard to blend into the 1.5. Notice how I am really utilizing the corner of the clipper blade as I am working the line out. I'm now going to switch to my 0.5 magnetic guard to blend into the number 1, moving my side lever from top, middle to bottom. Once again, I'm going to really take my time with this blending process, as the hair is appearing very light and more noticeable of any flaws. When you're fading hair, it's really important to really take your time and make the blend as clean as possible. The cleaner you make your blends, the more eyes of potential clients you will attract. I'm now going to switch to my number 0 magnetic guard to blend into the 0.5. Once again, I'm going to use my corners of the blade and really take my time with this blending process. I'm now going to switch to my Wall Magic clip using my 1/16 guard to go over the skin line. Going over the skin line with the 1/16 is a great method to help you soften the skin line, making it much easier to take out with your clipper. A good rule of thumb to remember is the softer and lighter the skin line is, the easier it is to take out, and the harder and darker the skin line is, the harder it is to take out. You want the skin line to be as easy as possible to take out, as the easier it is, the cleaner fade you will create. I'm now going to go back to my Andis Masters to finish taking out the skin line, and once again, I'm going to use the corners to reach into the darker and tighter areas, as this is the most tedious and most noticeable guideline to remove. I want it to be as clean as possible. Moving on to the left side of the head, I'm going to start removing the third guideline at the top using my number 4 guard. I'm going to utilize my wrist when doing this, as using your wrist helps you blend the hair more effectively and helps you take out the line much easier. I'm then going to complete this guideline removal by blending my number 3 into the 4 and then blending my number 2 into the 3. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm blending down from guard to guard as I move my side lever from top, middle to bottom, allowing each guard to blend into each other. I am now ready to take out my 0 guideline, so I'm going to use my 1.5 on my Wall Magic clip to blend into the number 2. And then switch back to my Andis Masters to blend the number 1 into the 1.5. I'm now going to blend my 0.5 guard into the number 1, and then blend my number 0 into the 0.5. I'm now ready to remove my final guideline, which is my skin line, so I'm going to begin by softening the skin line with my 1/16 clip, as this will soften the line, making it much easier to remove. Switching back to my Andis Masters, I'm now going to finalize the completion of the line removal, and I'm going to slowly take my time to remove this line, as well as utilize the corners of my clipper blade to really enhance the blend. I'm now going to use my wall detailer trimmer as I stretch and pull the skin to go over any excess stubble and visible excess lines to really clean up my work. I'm now going to use my wall shaver to go over the entire fade, as this will allow me to get as close to the scalp as possible. As I said before, the closer you get to the scalp when fading, the more enhanced your fade will be and the more it will really stand out. Alright guys, now we're going to move on to creating the tail on the back of the head, which will really give the mohawk its final look. I'm going to use my Andis T outliner as I slowly tap and pull away on the bottom middle left of the head. I'm then going to finish off by repeating the same process on the right side of the head. As you can see, the tail is complete. Now I'm going to give the final touches as I taper the tail into the skin fade using the corners of my Andis Masters. Alright guys, now we're going to move on to outlining the front of the head. I'm going to use my number 4 guard on my Wall Magic clip to remove the bulk on the front hairline. This is a great technique to do when you are lining up longer hair on the front of the head. The shorter the hair is that you are lining up, the more enhanced the outline will be. I'm going to begin in the middle of the head using my Andis T outliner trimmer, and I'm going to tap and pull away. I'm going to work my way from the middle to the left and then finish off on the right side. Alright guys, now I'm going to teach you how to properly cut a hard part into the head. It's very important that you create a natural part first using your comb, and you want to wet the hair when doing this. I see a lot of new barbers make the mistake of not creating the natural part and instead just taking a guess on where to create the hard part on the head. Trust me guys, you want to avoid doing this. You want to create a natural part first, as the natural part will be your guide on where to create the hard line. I'm now ready to cut in the hard line, and I'm going to use my Andis T outliner trimmer starting in the back and working my way to the front. I'm going to do this very carefully, as this is a tedious process and I want to make sure the line is straight and consistent. That wraps it up for the step-by-step mohawk skin fade with a hard part. I really hope you guys found value out of this video and that it was beneficial to your career. Don't forget to like and subscribe, as well as hitting that notification bell so you don't miss out on future tutorials. Leave a comment down below on which tutorial you would like to see next, and as always, I wish all you barbers and stylists out there best of luck in your career.